All right, good morning, everyone. The time is 8 o'clock. We will start today's Committee on Appointments. Hope you all are well and glad to see you got here safely this morning. Let's get started. Our first item is a resolution confirming Mayor Bliss's appointment of Denise Esther to the Board of Review.
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Any comments on this item or discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries. Item number 2 is a resolution confirming Mayor Bliss's appointment of Gerald Callahan to the Smart Zone Local Finance Development Authority. May I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Wonderful. Moved and supported. Any discussion or questions on this item?
Madam Chair, I will note that Mr. Callahan and Ms. Freiberger, which is our next item, are both reappointments to the Smart Zone. Also, because I don't think it's on our vacancy list because some of the purviews of different boards, but there are 2 openings still for GRPS seats, and I have been in contact with Deputy Superintendent Brandy Lovelady Mitchell, so they're working on that. And yeah, so I just wanted to mention that as it relates to the Smart Zone Authority.
Thank you. And there will be one resignation coming before us tonight for this.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you. Any other discussion or questions on this item? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries. Item 3, resolution recognizing the appointment of Lisa Freiberger to the Smart Zone Local Finance Development Authority.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and support. Is there any discussion or additional comments on this item? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It carries. We have one more? No. Okay. Those are all of our action items. So item number 4 today is a discussion of our vacancy list. So we have 3 resignations coming before us this evening on public safety, smart zone, and urban ag. Are there any other comments or discussion on any of our open seats or vacancies?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I have communicated with Commissioner Knight because Mr. Malloy, sorry, Ben, Mr. Malloy from Public Safety was her appointment, and I had communicated with him just because there was that transition time from when Commissioner Knight came on last year, so she does know that one's coming as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner Robbins, any?
Could you just scroll down and remind me how many we have for our South Division Granville CIA? I think we have at least 1 still. Okay, yep, 1. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner.
I have one other update as it relates to Mobile GR, and this is a sort of a carryover. I feel like as I said, I feel like the new year sometimes hasn't started, but there's one opening for Mobile GR, as we all can see right now on the screen. There will be a name that will be forwarded a mayoral appointment at our next meeting.
Wonderful. Daniel, follow-up question from you from our last meeting. We talked about some transitions of liaisons to other opportunities outside of the city, and I think you were looking to see if making sure that there was an interim liaison. So just wanted to kind of circle back on that item.
Correct. I have not received confirmation as of yet, but we'll do a secondary follow-up.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion or comments on our vacancy list? All right, hearing none at 8:03. Committee on Appointments is adjourned.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We'll call the fiscal committee meeting to order here at 8:30 and kick things off with a resolution recognizing the West Michigan Construction Institute as a local civic organization.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Pretty standard agreement. I do see we have Ms. Shockey in the audience. If she cares to say anything, we could welcome her to the microphone. If not, if there's any questions from my colleagues regarding this item? No? All right. Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 2, resolution approving a PEG grant reimbursements for Grand Rapids Community College and the Grand Rapids Community Media Center in the amount of $416,230.83.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Ms. Claire?
Yeah, I can talk about this. So this is just that, get these occasionally just reimbursement of, the cable fees, things like that.
Very good. Colleagues, questions? Pretty standard. All right. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 3 is a City Commission resolution approving a settlement of pre-litigation matter involving Cody Borta.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Sean?
Yes, I believe the full commission was briefed on this item in closed session. Attorney Hitchcock is here too, but last week we had a closed session regarding this where some additional details were shared, and we're ready to bring it through for your approval.
Very good. Colleagues, any questions regarding this one? All right, hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 4 is a resolution to amend City Commission Policy 400-02, writing off uncollectible accounts.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Levi Bolt. I'm the city's investment officer, filling in for John Globensky, who's out of town this morning. We're bringing this resolution forward to amend the policy concerning writing off uncollectible debts. The existing city policy has been in place since 2011, and experience has shown that it can be inflexible. And we've had situations resulting in where in an effort to collect 100% of an invoice, we wind up collecting 0% of an invoice simply because of that lack of flexibility. And we believe that these amendments to the policy will enable the Treasurer's Office to better collect on debts owed to the city.
Very good. Colleagues, any questions?
No.
Thank you for the Treasurer's work on this. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 5 is going to be an ordinance amending Section 1 of Budget Ordinance 2023-15 for fiscal year number 2024, Amendment number 7.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Ms. Claire?
Good morning, Commissioners. Just 3 items this morning. The first one is an ARPA allocation related to a contract we entered into with Degage Ministries. This had to do with, just supporting their, day center operations. They had a $35,000 gap, and we had available ARPA to put towards that. Number 2 is a special election reimbursement from November 7th with the clerk's office. That's $165,000. And then number 3, we have ARPA going towards replacement of some private lead service lines. That is in the amount of $300,000. Our contingent balance remains at $935,000.
Very good. Colleagues, questions? All right, hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 6 is a salary ordinance for the 61st District Court employees represented by the Grand Rapids Employees Independent Union.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Looks like we have Deputy City Manager Matthews. Good morning, sir.
So this, and I'll actually speak to these 3 items as a whole. These 3 items are all related. In working with the courts, they have several positions that they wanted to add to their roster, and in the process of going through that, it was discovered that the original salary ordinance from their previous round of collective bargaining had not been ratified. The terms of those contracts have been fulfilled over the past 2 years, but before we wanted to make any amendments to the roster and the salaries associated with those new positions, we needed to make sure that we had the correct salary ordinance in place for the court employees. So that speaks to these next 3 items as a whole.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Any questions, colleagues? All right, hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 7 is the salary ordinance for 61st District Court employees represented by the Association of Public Administrators of Grand Rapids.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And item 8 is a salary ordinance for non-represented management employees of the 61st District Court.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 9 will be our bid list resolution for January 23rd, 2024.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Colleagues, any questions about any of the items on the bid list this morning? All right. Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 10 is our comptroller's report for December 27, 2023 through January 9, 2024 in the amount of $20,452,088.57. Mr. Comptroller.
Good morning, Commissioners. Yes, so for the period there referenced, we released cash payments totaling approximately $20.4 million. That includes just under $5.4 million for our employee payroll expense and just over $71,000 for income tax warrants. In terms of quantity, we issued 158 income tax refunds and 1,083 checks and electronic payments. The details of all those payments exceeding $20,000 are included on the following pages. Also this morning, we have our small claims report in here for the fourth calendar quarter of 2023, October through December. So that report is showing that we paid out just over $34,000 across 15 claims.
Very good. Colleagues, questions for the Comptroller? All right, hearing none, that report will be received and filed. And our final item this morning is our Treasurer's Report for the period December 27, 2023 through January 9, 2024. Mr. Bolt, good morning.
Good morning again. What we've been seeing in markets recently is ever since the Federal Reserve's last Open Markets Committee meeting in mid-December, the Fed essentially made the mistake of giving some hope to the markets. And market participants essentially took that and ran with it a little bit too far. And ever since then, the Fed officials, every time they get within hailing distance of a microphone, have been basically trying to dial back some of the excessive expectations that the markets have. That's been slowly coming into effect. For instance, just this morning, I was looking, and now there is only a 42.4% chance of a rate cut in March, according to the market. And according to Federal Reserve officials, there's roughly a 0% chance. So there is a disconnect that has been growing. It's slowly shrinking. We'll see what happens at the Fed's March meeting. Obviously, I make no bones about the fact that I am highly skeptical of a rate cut anytime before June at this point. So any questions you have about the report, I'm happy to answer.
Very good. Colleagues, any questions for Mr. Bolt? No, thanks for being here this morning. With that report will be received and filed. And with that, we will conclude the Fiscal Committee meeting here at 8:38. Thank you, everyone.
All right, good morning, colleagues. It is 9:15. We're going to go ahead and get this Community Development Committee meeting underway. We've got, 9 items of business today, so we'll just go ahead and jump right in. Resolution number 1 is a resolution approving a fireworks discharge permit for RKM Fireworks Company for indoor special effects at the Van Andel Arena in connection with the GR Rise volleyball season kickoff on January 25th, 2024. Colleagues, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All right. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Been a while. Yeah, this is just a celebration airburst, basically. So it's pretty minor.
Okay. Colleagues, any questions?
No questions, but we should make sure that we celebrate that this is the first female professional team in our city.
It's awesome.
What a good idea.
Very exciting.
It's exciting.
Awesome. Well, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That carries. Resolution number 2 is a resolution approving a fireworks discharge permit for Feld Entertainment Incorporated, doing business as Disney on Ice for indoor special effects at the Van Andel Arena in connection with the Disney on Ice performances on February 1st through the 4th of 2024.
So moved.
Support.
All right.
Well, it's Disney on Ice, so there can be a lot of flames and sparks and stuff, but it should be pretty well contained to the ice, and they have a reserved area right next to the ice for no patrons to be in, so.
Great. Thank you. Any questions?
No?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that brings us to resolution number 3, which is a resolution authorizing assessor to spread nuisance charges for certain outstanding accounts receivables. This is Rule 8784, totaling $505,705.84. Good morning. Oh, thank you.
Support.
Thank you. Moved and supported. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Roberta Cahill, the Deputy Treasurer, and this is our semi-annual request for the City Assessor to start the process for the next nuisance special assessment roll. As you indicated, it's 1,916 invoices totaling $505,705.84. It covers invoices that were billed with due dates between July 1st and December 31st. And then one kind of exception item where we'd had an NSF charge come through on one. So, this assessment roll is about 5% higher than the last one for the same period of billing, but it equates to only about roughly 5% of the total amount billed for this period. Each of the property owners have been sent an invoice, a past due invoice. They'll get another notification through this process if approved, and then they'll have a chance to formally appeal through the Board of Review as well, held through the Assessor's Office through Commission. So, are there any questions on this?
Colleagues, any questions? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? That carries. Resolution number 4 is a resolution awarding a professional services agreement for construction management services with Owen, Ames, and Kimball Company for expansion of Grand Rapids Public Museum Phase 1B in the amount of $7,247,701, with a total amount not to exceed $8,171,783.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Let's see, we've got Mr. Berkman.
Yes. Good morning, Mayor and Commissioners. So the first phase, which we called 1A, was awarded by Commission back in October. That consisted of earthwork and other subsurface modifications to really prepare the way along the museum's river edge for enhanced access, educational opportunities, trails, seating, and other accessible gathering spaces. The contract that's before you today is Phase 1B. That'll build upon that and provide the remaining site work. It includes pathways, the seating, the switchback walls, site lighting, as well as the work involved to separate the carousel from the main building. So this work is being handled through our construction manager, OAK, that was previously selected through a qualifications-based selection process, and they're already underway with the Phase 1A work out there. So asking for your approval of OAK's agreement for this phase, that amount of $7,247,701, with that not to exceed total of $8,171,783. $83 that's coming from the Capital Improvement Fund through funds that have been raised by the Public Museum, as well as a $4 million DNR Greenway grant. That's a portion of the $55 million in funding that DGRI obtained and allocated to this project. The museum's board approved this from their end on January 17th. And just to note that future phases related to the museum's expansion and further renovations will be coming back to you for consideration as those designs are finalized and funded.
Great, thank you. Colleagues, any questions or discussions on this one?
No, I'm excited to see it move forward and excited to see some of that $55 million spent, so.
Yep, likewise. And I know when I've met with them the past couple months, I've just been blown away at their growth and the demand for people who want to come and visit our museum, which is fantastic. And they've been a big part of our community for a long time. And so excited to see them kind of lead the way in many ways with the river work. So very excited about that. All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That carries. Next resolution, number 5, is a resolution scheduling a public hearing for February 6th of 2024 to consider an obsolete property rehabilitation district pursuant to Public Act 146 of 2000 for the Chaplow Collection LLC at 839 Butterworth Street Southwest.
Support.
Moved and supported. We've got Mr. Klusser.
Yes, thank
Morning.
you. Good morning. We're going to schedule a whole bunch of public hearings for you at your next meeting connected to 2 applications we have this morning. First one, as noted, is for the Chaplow Collection, which is an interior design studio, woman-owned firm operating in Grand Rapids currently since 2005, looking to acquire a building for the business that they currently lease space for. So this building has been vacant since 2011, and working. Catherine Chaplow is working on the rehabilitation, which would be about $1 million project to move her firm over there and expand a retail component to the business as well. The company currently employs 8 individuals and would add 3 new employees in connection with this project. They have a pretty aggressive goal working with their general contractor for about 40% participation from women, minority-owned, or micro-local firms. And they have met with John Ball area neighbors as well and have a pending application with the West Side Corridor Improvement Authority for a facade grant for the project. So this particular resolution would schedule a public hearing on the application to establish an OPRA district, and the next resolution would be related to the same project, but schedule a public hearing on the actual application.
Okay, great. Colleagues, any questions? Nope. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? That carries. And then number 6, resolution number 6, as just mentioned, related to the same project, is a resolution scheduling a public hearing for February 6, 2024 to consider an application for a 10-year obsolete property rehabilitation certificate pursuant to PA 146 of 2000 for the Chaplow Collection LLC at 839 Butterworth Street Southwest.
Support.
Moved and supported. Colleagues, any other questions? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? That carries. That will bring us to resolution number 7. Looks like these next 3 are coupled as well. This one's a resolution scheduling a public hearing for February 6, 2024 to consider an obsolete property rehabilitation district pursuant to Public Act 146 of 2000 for 1947 Eastern Avenue LLC at 1941 and 1947 Eastern Avenue Southeast.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Mr. Closer.
Yeah, thank you again. So these 3 items are related to the same project, and we're doing 3 here, which is a little odd. We keep the applications for exemptions for separate parcels separate in case properties get sold in the future independently of each other. So there's one resolution scheduling public hearing on the district that would cover both properties, but then separate resolutions scheduling public hearings for each of the particular addresses here, which are 1947 and 1941 Eastern Avenue Southeast. These are mostly vacant. There is one currently operating business, a nail salon, but the majority of the 6,300 square feet contained in these 2 buildings is vacant and has been determined to be functionally obsolete. The applicant, which is a group led by Michael Hawkins, who I think you're familiar with, has a proposal to invest about $200,000 in construction and renovate these buildings with the intent of providing 5 total retail spaces that could be occupied by tenants in the future. Jobs would be associated with those future tenants and are just estimated at this point. This applicant does have also an aggressive goal of about 50% participation from minority, micro-local, or women-owned firms in the project. We do have a letter of support from the Garfield Park Neighborhoods Association, and Southtown Corridor Improvement Authority has already approved a facade grant for this project as well.
Great, thank you. Colleagues, any questions or discussions on this one?
No, I've been a part of a lot of good discussions about this property and this stretch, and so I'm really glad to see a plan move forward on this site, and eager to have this hearing.
Yeah, thank you. All right, hearing nothing else, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. That'll bring us to resolution number 8, which is a resolution scheduling a public hearing for February 6, 2024 to consider an application for a 10-year obsolete property rehabilitation exemption certificate for 1947 Eastern Avenue LLC at 1941 Eastern Avenue Southeast.
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Any other questions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That carries. That'll bring us to our last resolution, Resolution 9, which is a resolution scheduling a public hearing for February 6, 2024 to consider an application for a 10-year obsolete property rehabilitation exemption certificate for 1947 Eastern Avenue LLC at 1947 Eastern Avenue Southeast.
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. I'll go ahead and call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? That carries. Brings us to, it is approximately 9:26, and we will go ahead and adjourn this meeting.
everyone, and welcome to our City Commission meeting on this beautiful, cold, wintry day. I'm glad everyone made it here safely. And I'll throw out a thank you again to all of our public employees who are working so hard to make sure that our streets are cleared and are out there every day, day and night, to make sure that people are able to get around the city. So with that, we'll get started. Commissioners, we have a number of action items today and then 3 briefings. I'm going to move us through our action items as quickly as I can. And I have asked our city clerk to be prepared to talk about the briefing for the 3rd Ward vacancy. I'm going to move that up to the first item that we talk about because we do have a commissioner that needs to scoot out a little bit early today. So with that, let's start on the first item. This is a social district permit recommendation resolution for River North Public. Can I get a motion? So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. I see Rachel Lee in the audience today. I appreciate all of her work in our community and also having such a great business. City Clerk, you want to tell us about this?
Yeah, just real briefly, this is in that new Cheshire Village district that we just approved at last meeting. So moving right along, adding some more options for our local establishments.
Great. Happy to do that. We want to see them succeed. Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, next is a resolution approving travel for myself, Commissioner Knight, and Commissioner Isasi to attend the Michigan Municipal League's Capital Conference. This is in March, on March 12th and 13th. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support.
All right, moved and supported. Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. All right, next is a companion item. This is a resolution approving travel for myself, Mayor Bliss, and Commissioner Kelsey Perdue to attend the Mackinac Policy Conference, and this is from May 28th through the 31st. Can I get a motion? Support. All right, moved and supported. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. Commissioners, one thing, we do have a number of conferences that are coming up throughout the year. 2 that I will draw your attention to that I encourage you to attend. The Michigan Municipal League, every fall they have a large convention. And so as soon as we have details on that and dates, I will get that to you. And if you can let me know if you're interested, we will move that forward as well for those of you who want to attend. And then I know one commissioner already expressed interest in going to the National League of Cities. They have a big event and convention every year in the fall. Typically, I believe that's November. So again, as soon as I get details on that, I will let you know. And if you're interested in attending, please let me know and I'll move that forward as well. All right? All right, next that will take us to a resolution providing for the publication of and setting a date to consider an amendment to Section 10.41 of Chapter 181 of Title 10 of the Code of the City of Grand Rapids, and this is entitled Parking Restrictions. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Support. All right, moved and supported. Ms. Jennifer, you want to tell us about this item?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
This is a request to consider an amendment to the parking restrictions ordinance, specifically for no parking, to include a separate violation type for meter reservations. We're bringing this forward in an effort to be able to disaggregate the ticket data around no parking violations, as we currently cannot easily pull reports to determine the difference between no parking areas versus meter reservation violations. Which meter reservations are in fact paid for in an effort to support special events, construction, and long-term deliveries, including moving in and moving out for residents in metered parking areas.
All right. Commissioners, any questions or comments? All right, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for your work. All right, next that will take us to our 5th action item, and that's a resolution to approve a 3-year contract for a community car share to mobility development for an amount not to exceed $500,000. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
All right, moved and supported. Hello, welcome. I know we have a presentation on this that I'm eager to see. I know my colleagues are as well. But I just want to thank everyone who has worked so hard on this project. I feel like we've been talking about it for probably 3 or 4 years. So I'm really excited to see this come forward. So with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm here with Mobile GR for you guys to consider the approval of the contract, $500,000 over 3 years to operate the Grand Rapids Car Share. I'm Ariana Jeske, one of the assistant directors for Mobile GR. I oversee the traffic engineering, safety, and mobility and policy planning groups. We do actually have Richard Kosmacher of our vendor here, so if there's a very technical question that you might have, he should be able to answer it. So just going to run through these kind of briefly. How did we get here? How did this kind of come to be? We'll introduce you to mobility development operations, our initial rollout, the member experience, some of the operations, our data and monitoring, along with our pricing structure and how we're going to brand and market, and then some contract details and where we hope to go with the program.
Great, thanks.
So CarShare has been an idea in the community since 2018, when regional shareholders met around the interest of that. It got codified in 2020 as a priority in the Equitable Economic Development and Mobility Strategic Plan. And then in 22, Mobile GR scoped out the RFP. In 23, we selected Mobility Development Operations as the consultant to kind of shape our CarShare program and run it. And so in 24, we are now here, hopefully getting our contract approved. We have a separate contractor that we are putting in the supporting electric vehicle charging infrastructure, and we're going to launch here in the spring. So Mobility Development Operations supports the launch and growth of community-controlled car share. They work with cities and transit agencies to design and run electric vehicle car share programs, and their focus is on low-cost service in historically marginalized communities. They've been doing this since about 2009, with car and bike share programs in similar-sized cities. Buffalo and Rochester, New York are notable, and then Stockton and Bakersfield, California. The programs are built for long-term success. We have a 3-year pilot that we're committing to at this point, but as part of that contract and the operations, we will have a financial sustainability plan, and that will evolve as the program goes, as we see kind of usage and other data. And so we aim to transition this kind of at the end to a nonprofit model. So our initial rollout will be this spring, as soon as we can get the supporting EV chargers in the ground. So think warm weather, hopefully, will get us a little bit out faster. So we're going to have 6 fully plug-in electric vehicles in our first phase. We're installing level 2 chargers in 4 city locations: the Madison Square lot, Burton Division lot, the West Fulton Street lot, Easttown Ethel lot. And then we're going to utilize some of our existing charging infrastructure in our parking facilities downtown. So to be a member of the CarShare, you must be 21 or over, have a debit, credit, or prepaid card, have a valid driver's license. Your driving record will be reviewed and verified, and free of major infractions. Things like operating under the influence or reckless driving, things that are a fairly major level would be disqualifying. A speeding ticket from a little while back, probably not. So it's a very hands-on onboarding. There's an orientation with each new member, which includes how to operate the vehicle. Because they are fully electric vehicles, it's a different experience. Not a lot of people have had the opportunity to drive an EV that might be participating in our program. There's an email with resources that follow up, and then we also have a 24/7 call center that can address member issues. So just like everything else in our lives, we download the app, you create your account, and this app allows members to book a car, unlock the car, lock it, and pay. Again, there's that 24/7 call center to address any member's needs. We have a local program coordinator full-time, Mr. Willie Stokes, and so he will be here on the ground in Grand Rapids to address any member needs and respond accordingly. There's a 24/7 call center that's staffed by these lovely people, which will also be help supporting some of the other car shares that are being set up, implemented by MDO in Kalamazoo, Ann Arbor, and Detroit. So there's a fairly big staff in Michigan. We have the local coordinator here with us, so they will be in charge of all the support services, processing applications, lockouts, towing, if there's stranded members or vehicles, and that emergency after hours line. So we, as Grand Rapids, are unique in the car shares that are being implemented here in Michigan. We are the only ones with a local coordinator. That is something we wanted to have for better customer service. So they're there to deal and fix with issues, relocate vehicles as needed, and any other issues that might pop up. We have a face, we have a name, we have somebody local. So in other general operations, there's routine cleaning and maintenance. We have downtime clause in our contract, so that can happen. If there's the need for immediate cleaning, members can notify through that 24/7 call center, and the vehicle will be taken care of. So what is covered by MDO includes repairs, maintenance, fees, and fines. Say if somebody incurs a parking ticket in one of these vehicles, that's linked to the vehicle. So MDO would pay that, but then assess that fee to the user. If it's a, say, driving infraction or something, like a ticket to that, that is given directly to the driver. So MDO wouldn't have any interaction with that. So we do have 24/7 monitoring. There's telematics in each vehicle that gives us geolocation, speed, vehicle status, remote monitoring, and access. So they can immobilize the vehicle, remobilize. So all of that data will be available to us as the city staff on a dashboard. It will be anonymized. We won't know, that Joe Smith is taking this car on this road. We will see that a user took the car on this road. And so that'll give us trip history, destinations, usage details. And that's a lot of the data that we're going to use to inform our expansion on our second phase of where people are going with these vehicles, where they're getting the greatest utilization. We are considering cameras per the administrative policy. We are working through that. So the pricing structure, the initial rate structure is going to be $5 per hour. The first 150 miles of any trip is covered, 40 cents a mile after the 150 miles. We have a day rate under discussion. That's $50 per day, 24-hour max trip length. Insurance is included, but before sales tax. So these are all flexible in that how we see the program roll out and expand and mature. We did have concerns that, there might be a couple users that monopolize a fair amount of the fleet. And so we have the ability to change this pricing structure, get rid of the day rate, make that trip length less. We have the ability to tweak this pricing in a way that encourages the behaviors we want in the usage. So it's not codified in our contract, it's flexible. We are going to extend our dash branding to these. So hopefully we will eventually get some pink cars to match our pink buses. And we have partnered with 2 local consultants to do very specific outreach in the neighborhoods where we are putting these stations. And so that will be happening here in spring of '24 also. A few kind of contract details. So MDO will own, maintain, and insure the vehicles. We, as a city, are essentially paying a service fee. And so as part of that contract, there are massive insurance requirements. We did review this with legal and risk, and they both gave their sign off and felt that the city was well protected. So there is a kind of a whole range of liability insurance there, professional, general, and automobile. So the city responsibilities on this are that we install and maintain the charging stations, which the charging stations are actually under a separate contract with Westside Solutions that came before Fiscal Committee in the bid list previously. So we are moving on those. Mobile GR already maintains and operates charging stations, so we're able to add that to our workflow fairly easily. And we'll be coordinating the marketing and advertising with MDO. In our future phases, we hope to expand to 12 vehicles and install the supporting infrastructure. We will be reapplying for a federal infrastructure grant that was specifically for EV charging. We were not successful this past round, but there's a new call for projects.
Great, thank you. Very informative. I just have one question. I'm sorry if I missed this as I was reading your PowerPoint. Will there be a process for people to reserve a vehicle for a certain period of time? So like, let's say I have a doctor's appointment in Lansing or Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
Can I reserve it ahead of time?
Yes, in the app, you'll be able to say, I want to pick the car up at 9 a.m. from this station. One point that I forgot to mention is that we're using a kind of a fixed station model as opposed to a floating car model. So you will take the vehicle from one station and bring it back to that station.
So 2 other questions then. So with that, are the cars all located close to public transit?
Yes, we specifically chose kind of areas that had good transit service. The Laker Line and the Silver Line are there too, and those are kind of co-located because we have put designated parking zones for our micromobility in a lot of our parking facilities. So there's that kind of mobility hub that we're trying to build.
Great. And is there a data system in place that will be able to capture individuals who want to use the car and it's not available?
I might have to defer that one to our vendor here, but yeah, that would be an important metric for us, especially as we try to figure out how we're going to roll out that second phase, if we need to do that faster or.
And it would be interesting to see utilization in the different locations, and there may be higher utilization in some areas.
Yeah.
And also, like, how do we make sure it's convenient? So if a car, if they're heavily utilized in one area, do you really want someone to have to go across the city to get to another one?
Yeah.
So it'd be good to, as we pilot this, to try to capture as much of that data as possible, not just pure utilization numbers.
Yeah, and EV chargers that we're putting in will have 2 ports on them. We're initially going to put 1 vehicle at each, but if we do find that there's a very heavily utilized, there's a large demand for one, we can add another vehicle to that.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. Commissioners, any additional questions or comments? Commissioner?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, excited about having car sharing in Grand Rapids. Excited about having car sharing in Grand Rapids. I do, just have a couple questions as I look through, some of the other questions. I mean, I guess first question is there a geofence? Can I take this car anywhere I want? Can I drive to Tucson and hang out for a couple days if I need to, or is it?
If you can do it in 24 hours, but that might be a little fast. There is not a geofence because we recognize the need that people might need to go, say, to a specialized medical appointment somewhere else in the state.
Okay.
So we have the ability, we know where those cars are at all times.
And then just from a cost recovery standpoint, again, I understand that this is going to be a subsidized city service, but looking at just go to Zipcar.com, which is probably the biggest one in the country, and their rates start at $11 an hour, and we're doing $5 an hour. So that seems like we're undercutting the market, similar to what we do with parking sometimes, where our rates are much less than what the market is. So just trying to understand how that rate got set, and again, we're under the public enterprise is undercutting the private service.
Yeah, as you know, we don't have Zipcar here. We're just not kind of that density of a market. And it's kind of a commercial versus a public service. So, that's one of our aims at Mobile GR is low to free mobility options. And so the $5 is actually in line with a lot of the other municipal car shares that MDO has implemented.
And do you, is the financial model built to be sustainable, that at some point after the first $500,000 investment from the city that they're not going to come back and ask me for more? There's going to be a way to make sure this fleet is maintained and structured, and I'm not going to have to keep buying cars moving forward.
Correct. That's where we have the flexibility in the pricing, and a lot of that will depend on how many users we get and how much usage of the vehicles. Mm-hmm. So those are kind of those things in flex, but we have committed just to the $500,000 for the 3-year pilot.
Okay, thank you.
Good questions. Thanks, Commissioner.
And I'm excited for this to come to our city and provide some more opportunities for people who need those mobility options. One of the questions that I had, I know you talked about insurance coverage, but how much does that cover? When you're thinking about bodily and all the different levels of insurance that we have to carry on our own vehicles, besides unless you have PLPD, how does that protect if they hit somebody else or somebody hits them and they end up, injured to a point where they, can't function or, disabled or anything like that. And then the other thing that popped into my head is, when I go out of town, if I get a rental car, you hook your phone up to that car. And sometimes your phone number is stored in that car when you get out of it. And so how do we look at kind of protecting whoever was in there before and then who gets in there next, right?
Yeah, that's a detail we can definitely look into. We are plugged into the cars. I don't know if we have that specific capability, or it might be something when routine maintenance is maybe happening that gets cleared. So the liability, there's there's $5 million limit or a $5 million policy for the automotive liability. Then there's also general and then the professional, but that doesn't really apply to a user. So, they'll be licensed and insured for all the things that you would have to drive a vehicle in Michigan.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Commissioner.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. And I, too, am excited. I was on the Equitable Economic Development and Mobile GR Strategic Plan before I was a commissioner, so it's nice to be able to see these prioritized activities come in front of us today. And as we grow as a city, what are those options and opportunities? We also know that most of our, my car will sit in this parking lot for 9 hours or so, and looking for ways to, I think, just like in other aspects of reduce the cost and people's choices about what they feel like those mobility options are. So I just wanted to say that. My question was really going back to the eligibility requirements. I'd like to dig into this a little bit more. So certainly understand, over 21, so that's good. Access to these cards, the valid driver's license. I think my question is, it's reviewed and verified and free of major infractions. Is this something that the vendor, it's their policy? Is it based upon the determination of our insurance or the risk that we, need to take as a city? And then are there things that are just going to disqualify people and disqualify them forever? And then is there an opportunity for a recourse? Say if somebody is denied, can they appeal that? Can they show some other things? So if you could talk about that.
Yes, I say that's kind of a vendor dictated, I think, because of their insurance requirements. And I can get you a specific list kind of what the major infractions are. I will speak with unless Richard can answer if there's an appeal policy, but.
I can. You need to come.
Feel free to come to the mic.
Sir.
We want to make sure everyone can hear you, even those watching.
Richard Kosmacher, Senior Project Manager. To answer your question,
Thank you.
It's a point system.
Okay.
And it is based, as Ariana says, on what our insurers' requirements are. So as long as you're under that total number of points, we will approve you per our insurance. Yes, you can reapply, because depending on the severity of the infraction, it ultimately goes away. So you could reapply. It's not necessarily a permanent denial.
Okay. Is there typically a time frame of, say I was denied when this rolled out, and I don't know, whatever infraction that might rise to that level? Is there a certain time frame?
The serious infractions, I believe it's about 5 years.
Okay.
And then they go away.
Okay, I was wondering if it was going to follow things like EEOC guidelines as it relates to hiring. It's not the same thing, but
No.
just wanted a sense, so that is really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would guess, Commissioner, it's probably similar to, like when I was at St. John's Home, we had agency vehicles that were covered by insurance, and every year, all of my employees who would potentially drive those vans, we had to run. Same thing, I would get it was based on a point system, and I'd get flagged any employees who the insurance wouldn't cover to drive the vehicles. I would assume it's something similar.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It absolutely is.
Thank you so much. So much like the data that you were asking about availability, is there a lack of availability? That's data that I would be interested in. Certainly understand the insurance requirements and the things that we need to do, but then recognize where those gaps might also be so that we can make some other decisions about investments, hopefully in the future, or, work with community. So that would be a data point. And then, I'm certain that safety is very much included. Obviously, there's an orientation.
Yes.
Yesterday, there was a news story as I was in the car about our hands-free law that was it this year that went into effect at the state level last year. And so I think there's probably a lot of people who don't do that. We've also heard from individuals, and this is more of a general mobility concern. I feel like the number one calls I get to my office are around speeding, and people feeling like speeding is just overtaken since COVID. If there's an opportunity for us to do any public service announcements, certainly these aren't the only people speeding, but if there's a way to integrate some messaging, I would be interested in that. So those are my comments. Thanks.
Good, thank you. Good comments. Let's go Commissioner Purdue and then Commissioner Robbins.
Good morning. Just kind of in the line of questioning regarding liability and verification, just one follow-up. Do you have a sense of the time from eligibility and their record being reviewed and verified to them being able to actually use the car share? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Great. Good question. I would say generally about 3 to 5 business days. Interestingly, what delays it the most is we do a phone or video orientation, Zoom, like a Zoom call, and it's just coordinating with the prospective member to make that happen. That's what delays it the most. Running the motor vehicle record, the MVR, that's pretty fast. It's really the orientation mostly.
Can you say more about the orientation?
Yeah, we spend about 15 to 20 minutes with this prospective member. They've already been approved on their MVR, so we know they're under that point total. So, but now, before we let anybody make that first reservation or literally get in a car, we're going to walk them through everything. Really walk them through 2 things: how to use a car share car, and also how to use an electric car. how to start a charging session, how to end a charging session. So nobody gets behind the wheel until they've been through that orientation. And that staff that Ariana listed at those, it's about 4 folks. They're the ones running the MVRs and doing the orientations.
Wonderful. Thank you. I think this is a great opportunity. I was able to take advantage of car shares with the floating model when I lived in our nation's capital as a college student. So excited to see this amenity being brought to our city. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Robbins?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Thanks for the presentation as well. I just have 2 quick comments and then one question. So comment-wise, I think it's a great idea to coincide the branding with the Dash. I think serving on Mobile GR, the city's done a lot of good work in trying to brand that and bring awareness to it being a free alternative to people as a public transportation amenity. So I think that's great. Second of all, I do echo Commissioner O'Connor's comments too. I think like this is a fantastic amenity to provide to the community, but also just being conscious of the longevity of it financially, I think is something that I'd be curious to see. And then kind of going off that, my question pertaining to the day rate, how easy will it be to pivot with some of these things, whether it be like the hourly rate or allowing people to do the day rate option, say, we get a couple months into it and we find like 10 people are using the cars, every single day. Just wanting to make sure that this benefits the most people possible within the community, I guess, what's our plan should things kind of go in a direction like that, being able to quickly change and make sure that more people have access to it, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the pricing, it's something that's changed just within the app and the model. It's something that we'll probably work with MDO and seeing how, what the utilization is or if, how those users are looking, because we do have the model of, several more municipal car shares to kind of look at and figure out what that metric is. If, it's 10 people using them 80% of the time, then how can we change that? So it will be a fluid, this is kind of, a municipal car share is a new exciting thing, so.
Great.
Good, thank you.
All right, any final questions or comments? City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor, and I want to thank Mobile GR for their work in partnering with Mobility Development for this program. In regard to sustainability, both environmental as well as fiscal, I think as we look at future phases of this and increasing the fleet, it would be helpful to consider diversifying the fleet from not only fully electric, but maybe some hybrid vehicles to see how they both perform, but also for kind of cost sustainability. And also, hopefully, in the future, the public subsidization will be less if we can demonstrate as a test market that there is a greater demand. There may be more interest in having more market rate kind of programming. So I think we'll learn a lot through the pilot program.
Yeah, that's for sure. We'll definitely be keeping you guys informed.
Great, thank you. All right, with that, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries. All right, next, Commissioners, as I said, I'm going to move around our briefings a little bit, and I'm going to start with the briefing on the 3rd Ward City Commission vacancy appointment process, and I'm going to turn it to our City Clerk to walk us through this, because City Clerk's office will be managing the process and be the point person for any individual who's interested in applying. So with that, I'll turn it over to our City Clerk, Mr. Joel Hondorp.
Thank you. So we will, so I'll just do this quickly and efficiently so we can move on. So applications will be available today, January 23. You'll be able to get those from our office. There'll also be a website there'll be a 3rd Ward Commission page on our website that you can find, that information can be found. The applications are going to be due February 1st at 5:00 p.m. That is a strict cutoff. And then our office will review and vet the candidates for anything that needs to be done as far as owing the city money or any of those things between February 2nd and 5th.
City Clerk, can I just jump in and just make it clear to anyone interested that you do have to, in order to be appointed, you do have to be in good standing with the city. That's actually a requirement among this body for any appointments, including this one.
Yeah, so anything with, for example, anything with income tax or property taxes or any other business dealings with the city that someone might have. We'll publish a list of applicants on Monday, February 5th. And then the appointments committee will be doing the first round of reviews and interviews, being that they go through all the other appointments for other boards and commissions. And so they will do that on February 6th. They'll review it at their meeting on February 6th, and then applicants will be interviewed on February 20th by that committee, and then the appointments committee will make a recommendation for 3 final candidates to give to the city commission to discuss on March 5th and possibly a vote on that day. If there needs to be more time, then it would add to the next meeting on March 19th. And then so for public input on the process, the public will have the opportunity to speak at Commission's regular public comments periods on February 20 and March 5. So that will be, obviously, especially on March 5, it will be could be an action item on the meeting. So there would be probably 2 times actually at those meetings to speak on an agenda item or just general public comment as well. But also there's, of course, various amounts of ways to give input as well, not just at commission meetings, but by email, by mail, by, we have lots of different ways that public can give their input through this process, as well, not just the 3 minutes at a commission meeting. And then as soon as the individual is selected, they will be sworn in immediately following the appointment at the meeting that they are selected. So to get somebody up and on board to finish out the rest of this year. So just as a reminder, Commissioner Moody resigned as of December 31st, but this would be the last year of his term, so this would be to fill the vacancy for this year. So the person that is selected, if they wanted to continue further, would have to file by April 23. But there's in order to run they could run, if they wanted to, 2 full terms if elected. They would still be eligible for the 2 full terms, even though they have basically almost 1 year of a partial term. And there's no requirement that they have to run either. Right. So they could just serve out the year as well.
Yeah.
So there's a few options there.
Thank you. And I'll add for the public, if you're not familiar with our appointments process, we do, on the appointments committee, we have 3 commissioners, 1 from each ward. Commissioner Perdue is the chair of that body, and we'll be joined by Commissioner Robbins and Commissioner Isasi on the appointments committee to do that first round of interviewing and make the recommendation for the final candidates to come back before this body. We will identify some hold dates on all of our calendars on both at the February meeting and then the March 5th meeting for interviews, which may require us to make some adjustments to our schedules that day. But I'll work with our team to make sure that we do that. And I think that's all I was going to add. So, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to make it clear, and I don't know, maybe the clerk wants to jump in if I speak out of turn here, but just from a process standpoint too, I mean, we know that the voters approved some changes a few years back regarding special elections for vacancies to call for an election, but because there is no election that would line up with that term, our charter dictates that we make the appointment and that it doesn't go to the voters in this circumstance because there's not a regularly scheduled election inside the window.
Yeah.
I think that's important just because that did change, and this will be the first time we've done an appointment since that referendum.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. And I'll just echo what the city clerk said. I've had some people reach out to me about this, but the reality is that we have an election this year. And so individuals interested in running for 3rd Ward City Commission starting next year, they still have to follow the entire process to get petitions in, as the clerk said, by April 23rd. And then depending on how many people apply, there will be an August election and a November election. And this is singularly for the however many months left, likely 9.5 months left of Commissioner Moody's term. All right, Commissioner?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm really looking forward to this process and getting a colleague to serve and represent the Third Ward with me. I am happy about our expedited process, but really thoughtful process that is utilizing our existing infrastructure, that is still allowing the public to comment and be involved in the process, as well as respect our charter dictated role in this appointment. So I'm really looking forward to kind of routing this through appointments and then bringing it back to this full body and essentially having someone in place to serve and represent the Third Ward starting in April.
Thank you. All right, any final questions or comments? All right, this is not an action item, it's just an update. And so we will turn to our city clerk to get the process moving and get those applications available and the website up and running. Commissioners, we will be getting a press release out as well and be doing our part with David Green, who's leading our communications team, making sure that folks know about the process and how to apply, as well as the deadlines that they have to meet. So with that, we will move along to our next briefing. And so our next briefing is from one of our community partners, and that is the West Michigan Sports Commission. We're really glad to have Mike Gusweiler here today, who leads this organization and has done some exceptional work. We all know the importance of sports tourism to our local economy. And Mike will speak to that, but also we know that it has a much larger impact on our overall community, the vibrancy of our community, bringing families in, but also creating opportunities for families right here in West Michigan to get more engaged with sports, especially youth sports. So
Thank you.
With that, I'll turn it over to Mike and let him walk us through this presentation.
I appreciate
and then we'll ask questions after.
Thank you, Mayor Bliss, and you're taking messaging away from several of my slides, so you're spot on. And City Manager Washington, thank you for the invite. Commissioners, thank you for all the work that you do to make our city a great place to live, work, and play. It's in the realm of play is where the West Michigan Sports Commission really does the bulk of our work, really with that emphasis on being an economic generator by bringing these visitors into our community around sport. So the first 5 slides, I'm just going to walk you through quickly on who we are. We're a 501c3 nonprofit charitable organization that has been operating for 16 years. You see our mission vision statement here, and as the mayor indicated, we're really all about branding our community, adding to our quality of life, and doing that as an economic generator through sport. We're board governed. We've got a board of 15 members from throughout the community, as well as an advisory council, 2 different levels, so that we can really reach out further into our community and bring people into our network to really share and communicate what we are doing and have a greater impact. Our staff has grown since we formed, again, forming in 2007, 3 staff members up to now 8 full-time staff members in doing the work of our core operation, and that is, bringing in and hosting and supporting events that put people into our hotels and our restaurants and other miscellaneous spending through our community, as well as our signature event in our state games in Michigan, and I'll touch on that. Then we have the operation of the Meyer Sports Complex. It's an operation that we built, own, and operate in a sports complex. I'm going to touch on that in a little bit, but we have 3 full-time members that are running that operation, along with hiring nearly 50 part-time seasonal staff. And then a robust intern program we're fortunate to have, and over our 16 years, we've probably hit nearly every college and university throughout the state in representation. Our 23 interns came from Aquinas, Grand Valley, Davenport, as well as Calvin. To give you an idea of how we're funded, being a 501c3 nonprofit, predominantly it's through our contract with our partners in tourism, Experience Grand Rapids Convention and Visitors Bureau, who collect a hotel assessment and then also receive a portion of the lodging tax from the county. Our contract then indirectly pays us through the work that we do to put people into our hotels. Our 2 primary operations that I'm going to, again, detail out for you a bit, the Meyer Sports Complex and Meyer State Games. Both are pretty sustainable in their operations. Their revenues coming from registration, sponsors, field rental concessions, parking revenues. And then we have a couple of fundraising events. We have a marketing agreement with the Convention Arena Authority to market the two predominant facilities that they oversee, and then, of course, some business and charitable donations. And then our expenses, as I said, the bulk there in nearly 20-25% fall into the operations of running the sport complex or running the state games, again, being sustainable through their revenue sources. And then, beyond administration, it's doing the marketing, the event services, sales, and some fundraising, which really plays a bigger part right now that I'll touch on to attract that business into our community. So touching on the overall picture of sport tourism, it's a nearly $40 billion industry. And when we talk about sport tourism, it's truly looking at youth and adult amateur. It's not touching on the professional side of sports. It's really those visitors that will come in around these different events, whether they're youth, high school, collegiate, or even adult, and they're staying in our hotels and, as I said, spending money at other retailers and certainly at our restaurants and entertainment venues. I just wanted to create this slide to give an idea of some more notable ones that come to mind when we talk about sports tourism. Our International Winter Games or International Olympic Games in Hull, which LA will host in 2028, is a great identity of what sports tourism is in an international landscape. We last hosted the Winter Games in 2002 in Salt Lake City, and certainly has an economic impact. And then the Kentucky Derby, you can't think about Louisville, Kentucky without thinking about the Kentucky Derby, but the numbers behind it of their ability to have this sporting event year in, year out of nearly $400 million of spending around a race that culminates in less than 2 minutes is amazing. NFL Draft, I know I mentioned that we're really not focused on in the youth and amateur sports tourism model around professional sports, but really it's a great thing to point out as Detroit will be hosting in April of what this has become. It has become growing out of New York and Madison Square Garden, where typically it was hosted and not many visitors or representatives of the fan base coming, to exploding to over 300,000 visitors coming into a community, and that's what Detroit is preparing for. And then, you can't think about the nearly 90 championships at the D1, 2, and 3 level that NCAA represents without thinking about March Madness. And, the economic numbers behind hosting Final Four that Houston saw was $270 million. So that's what it's really about. As you see the bullet points at the bottom left corner is economic boost to a community, job creation, infrastructure development in some cases, and then exposure of the destination by bringing these visitors in, along with community pride and spirit. So bringing it down to our market size and the work that we're doing, these are some of the events that we'll host in 2024. I won't go through them all, but I'll touch on a few. Certainly looking at, professional disc golf. We did host the World Championship for Masters years ago, and so we're glad to be bringing that back for Amateur World Championships. We're seeing more disc golf courses being produced throughout our region. USA Softball with our complex up near Rockford, we're able to host some of those national championships, and then we'll host the annual meeting for Professional Golf Association. Some prospect events that we're going after include the list that you see here. Youth hockey, we have 12 sheets of ice throughout our community. Of course, you're familiar with Griff's Ice House being located right downtown. But youth hockey is a big year-round opportunity of bringing in some economic activity around youth sports. Compete Sports Diversity is a fairly new conference that we're looking to host that is bringing diversity, equity, and inclusion into the landscape of sports. USA Table Tennis, we've had the opportunity to host the U.S. Open 3 different times at DeVos Place, and it truly is an international event. One of the times that we hosted, the media interviewed a top player from Poland, and she was quoted as saying this is one of the most beautiful places that she's come to play. So we love those kind of testimonials. Adaptive sports is high on our list of trying to attract and make sure that we're bringing those sports in. We work closely with Mary Freebed, Wheelchair and Adaptive Sports. And then NCAA, we are, for the third time, the NCAA portal is open for us, and for the third time, we're bidding on D1 basketball, both in men's and women's. So women's regionals in 27 and men's first four or first and second rounds in 2028. It is taking certainly a community effort to reach out and ensure that we are a great campus to host that. So our bid is due February 7th, and we will hear in October of this year whether we were selected. The Myers State Games in Michigan, one of our operating arms, it's our signature event. That the summer games are heading into their 15th year, and the winter games we added shortly thereafter, so just celebrated, I believe, their 8th year. And the concept of state games happens in 30 different states. It really started decades ago through state departments and governors that wanted to activate their residents and encourage physical fitness. Empire Games being one of the oldest, and up until a couple of years ago was free, which requires, of course, that state dedication of funding. But we saw an opportunity, and we took this on. We've grown the state games, both in our summer and winter, to over 60 different sporting events. The visitor impact you see from the visitors that come in from over 80 of our 83 counties throughout the state, and the number of athletes that participate. Our Meyer Sports Complex, some of the stats there, just operated its 9th season, and these are weekend tournaments. We do fill it with weekday leagues and different events, but the weekend tournaments really is focused on bringing those visitors from our adjoining states and even further in the 20 to 22 tournaments that we hold annually. And the spectator count, the room nights, over 4,000 room nights, the athlete count, all amounts to that direct visitor spending. So in total, our 2023 stats, 121 events. We're averaging over 100 events now on our event calendar that we either bring in or assist with. And the hotel room night count from 2023, over 40,000. Economic impact from the visitor spending. We use a calculator that Destinations International created. And there's a sport module that really identifies the average spend that a family will have over the course of the number of days that the tournament runs. Athlete count, and so year to date, over our 16 years, over 1,200 events, $648 million of new spending that has come into our community. And the hotel room night count, well over 500,000, with the visitation of 2.2 million athletes. We have some KPIs, certainly there's many beyond this, but these are the key ones. The number of events I mentioned are hitting on over 100 annually, and it relates to then room nights. How many of those visitors or how many of those participants are coming from out of town, and then the direct visitor spending, which have all been on the upswing since we formed. These are the past 5 years. You see, 2020, the impact from COVID really took its toll on tourism, inclusive of sports tourism, but we bounced back quickly. In fact, we were one of the leading edges of tourism that were putting people back into our hotels and into our restaurants. We have a couple of community engagement fundraisers that we take on to really, share with our key stakeholders in the community on what we've been able to accomplish over the course of the year. The annual luncheon is one that we do that at. We certainly have been doing that since we formed in 2007. Last year, we were able to host as our guest speaker the GM and hockey legend Steve Yzerman. And it's just a great opportunity to bring the community together and certainly celebrate sport as well as with our annual golf outing. Truly started that as a fundraiser because we couldn't do the luncheon during COVID, and golf was one of those things that opened up opportunities. So saw that as a fundraising opportunity. We've carried it forward, and from these two events, in both engaging community, we do use a portion of the proceeds to support our local community. We created the Victory Lap Community Fund. We realized being a community partner and bringing these organizations into our community, we do need to also recognize and support our local community and do that through sports and enhancing local sports programming. So these are a list of some of the organizations we were able to support through that fund in 2023. We certainly look to broaden our capability. So in 2023, we also held our 5th annual strategic, or not annual, but every 3 to 5 year strategic plan that really sets the stage of where our board wants us to go to continue to have an impact around youth and amateur sports and the economic activity around it. Many times it's just building on the prior strategic plan. So, looking at more major events, bringing community partners together, potentially around a local bid committee, creating that continued awareness and community alignment of bringing partners together that have similar goals so that we can work together and have more impact. Sustainable funding models for infrastructure as we look at what needs there are. And then, it really does fall into that facility toolkit, the need to bring, again, some community partners that are looking at infrastructure and ensure that we're doing it in a smart manner and not replicating perhaps facilities that aren't needed, but ones that would be. Which takes us to really looking at that sports tourism facility master plan. It's something that we're still working to pull the partners together. This is a short list of some opportunities I think that exist out there. The trail connectivity is truly something that many different organizations are working on, but it's bringing everyone to the table to ensure that we do get it done. Rectangle or what we call flat field complex of looking at contiguous fields, much like we did with the Meyer Sports Complex in having diamond sports and the opportunities that come with that. And then the all paddle sports or rowing regattas. Many different high schools have wonderful teams that certainly utilize Riverside Park. We've been able to bring U.S. Rowing into Riverside Park for the Masters Nationals twice. So working with the city and the city parks department to see what can we do to continue to enhance that and attract those events. There was a time when I said pickleball, I had to explain what it was, and I don't think I have to anymore. I think everyone understands with the craze that pickleball has brought. But truly, it is a growing and impactful sport that is engaging all ages. I applaud, what the city has done to expand and work with Grand Rapids Pickleball at Belknap Park, and we want to continue that effort and continue that growth and opportunity that exists. And then the proposed soccer stadium project. We are involved in discussions and I work on the design build committee, but it propels our community up as a sports destination by having these professional sport teams, but then offers also this facility where we could bring in other events on non-soccer dates. So speaking again more closely to home of enhancing our current facilities, we are under a major campaign right now called the Winning Streak Campaign to expand the impact that we're having out at the Meyer Sports Complex. So we currently have 8 fields for diamond sports, baseball and softball, and we're looking to grow that impact. We have a partnership with Aquinas College for their men's baseball team and having collegiate baseball up there. We want to put synthetic turf on what's identified as field number 1. We have a great opportunity around adaptive sports with the Miracle Field. It's been a jewel of the complex and has an impact on hundreds of families who bring their children there, kids with disabilities who otherwise wouldn't have the chance to play baseball. And that surface is in need of resurfacing for another 10 years of activity. And then adding another quad. Focused in that quad is adding parity and equity to the complex, where we have the championship baseball field, adding a championship softball field, which is identified as field number 3 in that additional quad. And then the focus on pickleball, identified in the diagram here is item 10, working with Rockford Pickleball, a new nonprofit up in the Rockford area, to grow another tournament destination, but provide a home for growth of pickleball in that region. Here's just some renderings of what we're looking at. We've raised $6.4 million to date, so we're at 58% of our campaign, and continue to progress further to grow our impact and focus on sports tourism around infrastructure. So appreciate this. Happy to answer any questions you may have, and certainly thank David Marquardt and the city for all the support that we do get as we venture to bring more events into the community.
Yeah, thank you. David, were you going to add something?
Yeah, just briefly, Mayor and Commission, wanted to thank Mike and the Sports Commission for their partnership with us in the city of Grand Rapids. It's so valuable. In 2017 and again in 2022, the Sports Commission was an important player in our strategic master plan updates with the Department of Parks and Recreation. In turn, the department played a role in Mike's and the Sports Commission's strategic plan update this last year, and the result really is smarter investment across our city in bringing more destination sports to Grand Rapids. So we're appreciative of the partnership.
Great, thanks. So Mike, I don't have a question. I suppose I just have a couple comments. One, I really appreciate your leadership, all the work that you've done. I've attended a number of the events, but also been following the strategic plan and rollout of that. And I can tell you I'm very grateful for your leadership and everything that the Sports Commission does to make sure that we have sports opportunities for individuals with different opportunities and abilities. And I know that that has gone a long way with so many families where children feel like they don't have those opportunities. So I know your team has a heart for that, and I just want to say thank you, and along with your partnership with Mary Free Bed, and hopefully we'll have a celebration as we look to build the children's rehab facility, and that will create an opportunity to have even greater relationships. So thank you for that. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't say again, I said it this morning, but I'll say it again, we're also really excited to have the first ever women's professional sports team here in Grand Rapids with the Grand Rapids Rise women's volleyball team. And I know you've talked about how that also adds to our local community. And I'm assuming that the Sports Commission will be working closely to create opportunities for young women who may be inspired to get into volleyball now.
Yeah, absolutely, and thanks for mentioning that, Mayor. No question that, again, our city is really, rises with the support and the focus on professional sports, and having the professional women's team opens the doors. We've been working with MHSA to bring in girls' high school volleyball finals, so it certainly is a focus of ours.
Yeah, hope those stands are filled on Thursday for their first game. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Commissioner?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thanks for this presentation. I think, especially the past couple weeks, we've seen how sports can really unite a community and a state, too. And so, I just think that the topic of how we build our city's identity around sports has a lot of positive consequences that trickle down into our neighborhoods and have lots of other impacts. So I think that's awesome. I was curious, though, too, does your organization do anything with esports, or is there like a partner organization you work with in that realm? Because I know I just saw D. Jones walk out, I think, but at a collegiate level, I know that's huge now, and just with just growing and changing interests among our younger generations, I'd be curious to see what opportunities there are to bring some of that on a national level to our town, too.
Yeah, the opportunities are still out there for around esports, and we've been chasing that, trying to figure it out, and there's an interest with our partners and our venues to bring that in. We did hold one of our own around high school and collegiate esports called the Rift Clash, and partnered with Studio C. That was a few years back. We're seeing growth in high school labs and teams, and certainly there's varsity teams at the collegiate level. So esports remains one of those opportunities. We worked with DeAndre on his esports event that he brought into Four Star Theater. And so certainly we continue in conversation with him. And there are some international opportunities that we're discussing right now on that realm of esports.
Thank you. Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Isasi?
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. I'm glad that we've picked these back up again because I think it's important to understand what's happening in our community outside of what might be in our buildings. So I just want to thank you and the team and all those that were listed in lots of different connection points and ways for people to opt in. My question was really more for this body, Mayor, as we think about, we just had this update. It has a significant economic impact of the Sports Commission. We also had a report from probably going to get their name messed up, but from the arts group. They probably have a more formal name. I'm sorry, Steph. But could we get something, and I know we have some general, marketing piece and experience Grand Rapids about what is this economic opportunity, but as we're going through this, if we could get something that kind of, I think that larger number, but then what is the disaggregation in these different investment areas, I think would just be another helpful point as we think about investments and conversation. So thanks.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I appreciate the economic impact analysis, and I know we look to heads and beds, but we know that all those individuals with heads and beds, they're supporting our local businesses, our restaurant owners, and supporting our local economy in a meaningful way. And I think sometimes we'd be remiss if we didn't highlight that as well. So, Commissioners, any final questions or comments? All right. Thank you so much. Let us know what else we can do to be supportive.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. All right, I'll now turn to Ms. Connie Bohach, who oversees all the great work happening in community development, to tee up this next presentation. Commissioners, you have two handouts before you, and this is an update from the Essential Needs Task Force. Ms. Bohach?
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have two presenters here today for this presentation. We have Ms. Wendy Randall, who is the Director of the Essential Needs Task Force for Kent County, and then also Janelle Vandergrift, who is the Coordinator for the Food Policy Council. And there's some great work that's been going on with the Food Policy Council, which is a committee of the ENTF. And it's been a while since you've had an update, and the city is actively engaged in the work of the Essential Needs Task Force since its inception in the early 80s. And so we thought it was a good time to come in, give you an update, and learn about what's going on with the Food Policy Council. So I'm going to turn it over to Wendy.
Thanks, Connie. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Thanks.
Thanks for allowing us to be here today. As Connie mentioned, I'm Wendy Randall. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the director of the Kent County Essential Needs Task Force, also known as ENTF. ENTF sits within Heart of West Michigan United Way, receiving important infrastructure and in-kind support from that organization. ENTF does have a separate board of trustees and a strategic plan and works closely with United Way on alignment of system visions. Over the last 3 to 4 years, residents of Kent County have been through significant challenges, as you all know. Things like the peak and end of the public health emergency, dramatic shifts in employment, work styles, and national economy, and changes to public benefits. We have also seen public and private recognition of racial injustices, blatant discrimination across a wide range of differences, and overwhelming disparities in physical and mental health and financial outcomes. Throughout this, there have been remarkable acts of outreach, empathy, and elevation of resident voice in both grassroots and decision-making spaces. We have all been through highs and lows of our circumstances and our energy. And as a result of all of these circumstances, ENTF recently recommitted to our vision, reframed our values, and are focused on this shared vision that you see in front of you as the key objective to our work in Kent County. As many of you know, ENTF does not provide direct service to residents. As a convening organization, we bring together people and organizations working in 5 different essential needs systems, leading the work of 6 committees. In each of these systems, we recognize the root causes within the systems and how those root causes impact people's ability to establish and maintain household financial stability. The systems are interconnected, meaning the decisions, resources, and capacity challenges have an impact across experiences in other systems. Often, the supports and solutions are considered individually rather than as part of a bigger vision for people to thrive. So while people identify needs and seek services due to a tipping point in one of the system areas, we know that understanding and alignment are necessary for making lasting change. So we work with organizations and decision makers both within and across systems to build that understanding and alignment. Within our 5 system areas, we serve 4 cross-cutting functions: data and understanding, connecting, community learning, and action and advocacy. In data and understanding, we build knowledge of the community's current state using data, diverse experience, and intentional storytelling. In connecting, we support stakeholders in building and strengthening relationships, partnerships, and collaborative efforts. In community learning, we build capacity, confidence, and leadership among partners and community members. And in action and advocacy, we look toward equitable systems by advocating for policy and process change. So through this theory of change, you can see how we work with partners, advocates, and decision-making bodies to lead to our overall impact. With everything that we discussed as occurring over the last 3 years, I want to just highlight a few of our various achievements. We've been extremely active in strengthening our collaboratives. As a means of an update, I have a couple of slides that highlight some things. I'm just going to point out our community agreements have been utilized by at least a dozen organizations as a starting point to develop their own set of agreements regarding how they interact with one another in shared spaces. Our theories of change in each system have helped draw direct connections between the day-to-day activities of partners and organizations and collaborative efforts, the conditions for success, and the priorities of each committee area. And our data capacity building is one of our most popular areas of learning. Our network partner organizations are eager to improve the ways in which they gather data, understand data, and share it with their stakeholders. So we do this in partnership with DataWise, as we've been offering for nearly 4 years now. Not only do we provide opportunities for our network partner organizations to learn about various methods of advocacy, we also listen and create spaces for meaningful conversations regarding policy priorities and general system narratives. This work has led to the initiation of annual policy and advocacy priorities and a shift in how we and our partner organizations talk about needs. We're continuously working toward asset framing and elimination of stereotypes. Additionally, we are supporting organizations that choose to assess their internal operations and language and work toward their own more equitable processes. Finally, in the area of plan achievements, we've collaborated and been part of local, regional, and state initiatives, including things like your own city master planning process, the Rapids Master Plan process, Michigan Department of Transportation Planning and Environmental Linkages Studies for US 131, Michigan Public Service Commission and Michigan Department of Energy Great Lakes and Energy Input and Planning Sessions, Earned Income Tax Credit Advocacy, advocacy to expand housing options for people using housing vouchers or with past evictions, expungement events, Michigan Broadband Equity and Access Deployment Planning, as well as many other initiatives. We've also supported other local convening partners in their work. We've worked closely with the Kent County Health Department on several projects, provided facilitation for First Steps Kent and CAIG Connect, and lent our tools and resources to several local organizations and groups. In 2023, while gathering feedback and preparing for our next strategic plan, we surveyed our members on many topics, including their experiences with ENTF. When asked how ENTF is helping their organizations advance their mission, the most mentioned areas were collaboration and information sharing. A couple of comments from our partners are listed on the screen here. Collaboration, reducing unnecessary redundancies, increasing effectiveness. These are all some of the outcomes that our partners experience through working with ENTF. So in December, we finalized our 2024 to 2026 strategic strategy and implementation plan. In your packet, you should have a copy of that full plan. I'm just going to quickly walk through the vision statements for each of our different system areas. So in digital inclusion, we envision a system that ensures all people in Kent County can affordably participate and competently contribute to the digital space. So we know that this year there are very pointed initiatives through the Grand Rapids Chamber and the National Skills Coalition. We're working with those partners as well as many others to more closely prioritize investment and partnerships for literacy and skills advancement. The Transportation Committee vision, we envision a system where all people in Kent County can access their choice of safe, affordable, reliable, and environmentally sustainable transportation options available to go where they want, when they want to go there. Really happy about the new rideshare program with Mobile GR. We've been working on the launch of the countywide transportation task force through Kent County that will launch in April. We've also been working with Grand Valley Metro Council, as I mentioned, regarding the Pell study for US 131 and regarding their priority climate action plan that's being submitted to the EPA regarding transportation emissions, among other areas. In our energy efficiency area, we envision a system where utilities use renewable energy and address environmental concerns, homes are energy efficient, and all people in Kent County have consistent and affordable utility services to support household well-being. We've seen lots of ongoing challenges with weatherization efforts, which is, of course, both a safety issue as well as an affordability issue for households in our community. There is still a lack of skilled contractors, and there are many reasons that homes are deferred from this process. So we've been in partnership with a small committee of service providers to encourage more contractor skill development as well as vendor selection for those opportunities. We're also looking at seeking MEEP expansion at a statewide level regarding expanding the eligibility and receiving the budgeted funds available for the Michigan Energy Assistance Program. In our food and nutrition area, we envision a system where farms and food businesses balance the well-being of employees, community, and environment. All people in Kent County are food secure with access to culturally appropriate local foods. We continue to promote coordination as well as the transition from a charitable food system to greater equitable food access in models such as food clubs and fresh markets. We're also drawing attention to long-term economic sustainability of households that need food assistance. We worked very closely with the advocacy efforts for the state earned income tax expansion as well as other tax credits. And of course, you'll hear more from Janelle shortly regarding more specific policy areas and the research that we've done there. And then finally, in the area of economic and workforce development, we envision a system where local businesses balance the well-being of their company, employees, community, and the environment. All people in Kent County are able to achieve their employment and financial goals. In this area, we're expanding the number of organizations that are utilizing and feel confident utilizing benefits cliff tools that are available for the state of Michigan. We're also continuing our resource navigation convenings to ensure that partnerships and referrals are available across service networks. So in terms of ENTF overall, there are many ways to get involved. We offer newsletters and emails, learning events, and information and resources on our website. We invite people to share information with us so that we can share it across our network. We invite folks to participate in monthly meetings at the various system levels to connect, learn, and strategize together. And we will be sending our annual policy priorities soon as ways for people to get involved in advocacy throughout the community. I do have contact information here, but with that, I'm going to turn things over to my colleague, Janelle.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Janelle Vandegrift. I'm with the Kent County Food Policy Council. I'm also a First Ward resident. So today I'm going to be sharing a piece of work with you called Food System Assessment for Kent County. You should have a paper copy in front of you. There's some for the public at the door, and then you also should have an e-copy as part of your packet. So I'm just going to be providing an executive summary overview and talking about the next phases of this process. So the Kent County Food Policy Council was formed in 2021. Our mission is to strengthen and grow a local good food system in Kent County. So, and when we talk about a good food system, we're talking about the Michigan Good Food Charter definition, which means accessible, diverse, equitable, fair, healthy, and sustainable. So I pulled this from the Grand Rapids website. This is the mission of Grand Rapids, so I'm going to read it. Grand Rapids will be nationally recognized as an equitable, welcoming, innovative, and collaborative city with a robust economy, safe and healthy community, and the opportunity for a high quality of life for all. So I think what we're talking about today is very relevant to the Grand Rapids mission if we think about our personal lives, how food plays into our health or our quality of life, and then certainly for our community as well. So today I'm going to be providing an overview of our development process, the assessment structure, and then going through each section and providing high-level findings, challenges, and questions that we found. And then we'll be talking about a plan for next steps. So it's a very quick overview. I'd encourage you to look at the assessment further if you're interested, because there's a lot more that I will not be sharing today. So we commissioned this assessment with grant funding from the Michigan Health Endowment Fund, and we had New Venture Advisors, a consulting firm, help us with this assessment. So they do this work nationally. So we're at the point of the assessment, and then there's also a food policy assessment and a food system plan as part of this process. So this assessment here aims to build knowledge in the community about the Kent County food system and how the components of the food system interact, create a baseline of food system metrics that the Food Policy Council can track over time, and lay the foundation for the policy recommendations in the Kent County food system plan to come. So this is just an overview of our timeline. We're right at the spot where the pink sunshine is. So the assessment has been completed. We will revisit a policy assessment, and then the food system plan and the community engagement is in process right now. So I've been talking about the food system a lot. We define that in 4 key areas: growing, harvesting, processing, distributing, access, consumption, and waste recovery. So that's how we organize this assessment into those 4 categories. And within each category, we'll be talking about key findings, challenges, key data points, or by the numbers, as well as what we still want to know. So the assessment's all secondary data. We know secondary data is not the be-all, end-all of what is happening in our food system, but it provides us a launching pad for what we yet want to know, and then the community engagement process that we have in getting our community involved in that process. So Grow Harvest, and I'll just mention when we talk about Grow Harvest, we're talking about both rural as well as urban agriculture, and we are really glad to partner when we can with the City of Grand Rapids Urban Agriculture Committee. So what we found, the challenges in our food system include that small and mid-sized farms are consolidating and being bought out by larger producers. A growing population of urban sprawl is resulting in a loss of farmland to development. BIPOC and new beginning farmers are in need of support, including access to capital, training, and resources. And we are also seeing an increased dependence on migrant labor from outside of our region, which is leaving the production vulnerable to shifting federal policies on immigration, as well as worker abuse. So these little squares are just showing what I previously mentioned. We're losing farms. Farms are getting bigger. We're losing farmland. And also just a statistic on the right here, that 75% of our agricultural products sold in Kent County are livestock. So what we still want to know, how can Kent County track the amount of food consumed locally that's produced locally? We know that food is being grown here. Where is it going? And how can we increase this number locally? And what is the full picture of urban farming and communal gardening in Kent County? So where are the urban gardens and farms, and how are they managed? So next section, processing and distributing. So within the assessment, there's a number of these maps, but I'm going to show you this one here. There's a number of different food processing points within our county, and more than I think I would have known otherwise. So you can see there's a lot within Grand Rapids as well as within the county. And for me, I was surprised with how many bakery and tortilla factoring facilities are within our county and city. So what we still want to know, how can we strengthen economic and workforce development in the food processing sector? How can we support fair conditions and wages for all workers in food processing and distribution? And how can government organizations and private food retailers support more procurement of local food? So we know it's being produced here. How can we make sure it's consumed here as well? Okay, next section, food access. So there's a number of different food access points within our county, 128 grocery stores, 74 specialty food stores, 94 beer, wine, and liquor stores. We also have farmers markets, on-farm markets, and CSA programs, and a number of emergency food assistance programs as well. We know that households are spending an average of 11.7% of their total budget on food, and that Kent County has 22 school food authorities overseeing 200 schools with over 90,000 students. These schools spent almost $2 million, or 16% of their total food spending on local food. And we know that 50% of all K-12 students in Kent County are eligible for free and reduced lunch. So there's a lot of data happening on this map here. It's showing different food access points, but I just want to draw your attention to the shaded areas. So the green, yellow, and pink. So the greenish, bluish is showing low income and low access, and the yellow is showing low vehicle access, and then the pink is showing both low income and low access. So the areas that are struggling the most with food access. Sometimes food desert is a term to describe these areas. So this kind of data provides us with a sense of where the challenges are really being faced within our county at large, and as well as our city. So what we still want to know, how many residents are qualifying for benefits but aren't receiving them? In other words, what is the SNAP gap? And how can Kent County and the City of Grand Rapids address the systemic causes of food insecurity outside the network of emergency food distribution organizations? We know these organizations are doing good work. Are there other ways that we can be addressing the issue at hand? And how can Kent County grow farm-to-school programming? And how can we track the impact of local food school procurement on our economy and the health of our community? Okay, last section, food waste and waste recovery. So the data that's available in this area is very limited, showing the need for us to capture more. I'll point out that Feeding America West Michigan shared with us that they saw the volume of available food decrease by nearly 20% last year, which has impacts on the emergency food services that use that available food to share with our community. Some of the challenges are there's consumer confusion about date labeling. There's overpurchasing in large portion sizes at restaurants and other facilities. Businesses are often concerned about liability when donating excess food. The composting infrastructure locally is limited, and a lack of availability of skilled harvesters can lead to a loss of food on farms and in orchards. So some more statistics here for you showing that that our organic waste generated in Kent County splits between both commercial and residential almost half and half, slightly more on the commercial side. When it comes to the organics that are generated in Kent County, 75% of that is food waste. So on a national level, we know that between 30 and 40% of our food does go to waste. And this is showing that quite a bit of our organic waste is food. There are a lot of great community organizations working on these issues locally. Organicycle, Fulton Street Market Cleaning Program, Wormies is another one, and then many other community resources as well. So what we still want to know, what are some municipal solutions to food waste recovery that can build on the existing organizational partnerships in place? How is the charitable food system a part of food waste recovery, and how do those partners collaborate? And furthermore, how are they impacted by the growth of business solutions like Flash Food to reduce food waste? So that's kind of a lot of the findings and challenges that I just shared with you now. I'm going to talk a little bit about our plan for next steps and what a food system plan is. So we've been talking about the pink arrow today, the secondary data from national and local sources. And right now we're in the phase of collecting primary data from community engagement. We're really lucky to be working with public agency on that project. And those two things together will come together to create a Kent County food system plan. So a food system plan, what is it? According to the American Planning Association, it's a set of interconnected, forward-thinking activities that strengthen a community and regional food system through the creation and implementation of plans and policies. So a plan like this would contain goals, objectives, and action steps. What can a food system plan help us do? It can help us foster profitable agriculture and food business, support entrepreneurs in agriculture and food, increase access to healthy foods, support skills in gardening and food preparation, protect soil, water, and air quality, reduce food waste, celebrate the diversity of food and agriculture in our community, and empower all to participate in the food system. We are not doing this project alone. We're really lucky to have different partners in our community helping us out. So as our food system assessment, we developed 2 committees. We have a food policy assessment committee and a food systems assessment committee that helped us identify the sources and helped us review what you see today. Our policy assessment committee, we're really happy to have city staff, Tyler Kent and Annabelle Wilkinson, they've also been involved in different phases of the project as well. And for our Kent County Food System Plan, we have 3 committees. Our council operates as the steering board, and then we also have a key partners committee, which help us envision and activate our community, and our stakeholder advisory committee, who is providing strategy and policy advice to us. And I will just mention that these committees are open to anyone who would like to join them, and we would welcome more support and input. So that is it. That's the assessment. Thanks for taking the time to listen today.
Thank you. Very informative. Appreciate it. Ms. Bohatch, any final thoughts before I see if we have any questions or comments?
Yep, I'm going to close it out just with 2 additional slides that ties in our Urban Agriculture Committee. So we don't want to forget about the important work that they've been doing since 2017 to educate the public about the benefits of urban agriculture in our community and to advise us as city, or I should say you, not us, as city policymakers on policies that promote local production and access to healthy foods. So they've done a lot of work since 2017 in terms of developing educational materials, hosting events, and participating in other community activities to do that work, completing a review of our city ordinances, national best practices, and model ordinances across the country, developed recommendations that were brought to you and on a variety of issues related to urban agriculture, including the backyard chickens and beekeeping, in which you have made those policy changes already. And in 2024, they will be working on developing materials to help us educate the community about those changes that were recently made. And then also we'll continue their work with the Food Policy Council on the food system plan. At their last meeting, they were actually used as a focus group for this work, and they'll continue to work with our planning department staff and other staff in the city to move those recommendations that they presented to you last year forward as part of the community master planning process and within its timeline. They are interested in exploring opportunities for curbside food waste collection, and then the city manager has asked city staff to support them in completing an inventory of community gardens throughout our community, and that work would be done through the Parks Department and the Office of Sustainability. And with that, we'll open up to any comments or questions.
Great, thank you. All right, commissioners, questions or comments? Over here, Commissioner.
Thank you for the presentation. This is really interesting. I think this is a huge area of opportunity for the city. So I'm excited to see the plan, the forthcoming plan, and see what implications and opportunities we might be able to explore on a local level to support vibrancy, to support community health, to ensure our workforce is healthy and ready to go, as well as sustainability and best use of our resources. So thank you for your work thus far and looking forward to kind of the next steps that you outlined.
Great. Thank you. All right, I'll add my thanks to everyone who's working on these important issues and to our very own Connie Bohach, who is active in all of these spaces. So thank you. All right, Commissioners, with that, we will close our Committee of the Whole. We do have Public Safety back here at 12:30, and then we'll be back together tonight at 7. In the meantime, I will work with City Clerk to get some holds on our calendars for potential interviews, which may result in us needing to make some adjustments to our Commission Day schedules. So we'll work on that and try to get that out to you today as well. All right, thanks, everyone.